So as of this week, a year ago, I completed what was my biggest film endeavor ever, both narratively or however you want to put it, but it's when we shot Trial 54. Probably one of the greatest moments of my life and one of my greater accomplishments, but now we're a year beyond that, and so I kind of have to sit here and think about things as it's almost done the festival circuit. It's about to go public and do some screenings and whatnot, but it begs a question that I feel like a lot of us at this stage are wondering. Because of all the passion-related projects in this world of really low-budget independent filmmaking or just this constant dream chasing we're doing at any level, the almighty short film is the king of all these concepts. It's a spec ad on crack. But there's a lot of pretty harsh realizations that go into the realities of a short film, especially one that is born completely of your own initiative. So as I stand here in 2025, shooting a film back in 2024, and even after shooting a ton of other short films prior to this, let's just chill out for a second and let's have a little chat about the worth of making a short film. You're just gonna have to bear with me for a little bit, guys, because I'm feeling a little sad today. And some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about may not be the happiest or the greatest stuff ever. Sorry, that's kind of the nature of short films, but you're gonna have to believe me that I swear that this has a light at the end of the tunnel. Just bear with me for a little bit. Why did I make this film? Well, me, like any other directors or short filmmakers, probably made this for one of three reasons. One, a massive boost to your portfolio. Two, to scratch that just annoying constant itch in the brain to make something you've been sitting on for a while. Or probably the biggest reason, and probably the most consistent reason as to why anybody makes a short film, to make a proof of concept for a feature. It's for all those three reasons is why I made Trial 54. The origins or the genesis of the whole concept was probably made all the way back in 2015, 2016. Let's say 2015, it sounds cooler. And it's something I've always thought about just pulling the trigger on or just trying to get the money to pull it off, because everything I've made since then have been very grounded, very quote-unquote homegrown, or like these very family-based human dramas that can be heavy, that can be really good stories and easier to achieve. But this constant itch to make a proper science fiction film has always been there, and I wanted to be able to say to myself, I can direct a science fiction drama narrative film without the pleasures and extravagance of large budgets or big crews. But back to the whole point of this video. What was the actual worth of making the damn thing? I think the biggest thing people need to realize with short films, especially in today's market, is that they are guaranteed money pits. I can probably count on one hand how many people I know that have made some money back on their short films. I can probably count with maybe one or two people that have made a profit off of a short film. If you make a profit off a short film, that is awesome. But usually that means making a film that's targeted towards certain festivals, certain competitions, and really being specific about the content you're making and what you're putting it towards. But that's also in relation to your budget. We made this film for $5,000 and then tack on an extra $1,000 for, festival entries and kind of random last second crap. And there is no world where I came into making this film where I thought I'm gonna make $6,001 and call this a profitable movie. That was never on the table. As I said before, these are just spec ads on crack. And nobody makes money on spec ads unless you're pulling revenue from YouTube or some other kind of online video service that can pay you ad money. And to be honest, I think it is nuts to make people pay money to watch a short film. That's just me. Unless you have like the hottest short film ever made and it's at least 30 minutes long, I think it is wild to charge people to watch a short film. At least under regular circumstances of just being able to go on YouTube or Vimeo and giving it a watch. Okay, great, Davis, you just stood here and told me if I do a short film, I'm basically just gonna be poorer than I was than when I started. Okay, well, let's go back to why we make speculative work in the first place. For the last 2 years, I've been pretty big on making speculative work such as short films and little spec ads and spec docs, because I just started a new company about just a little over 2 years ago. It's my first real dive into taking a gamble on this brand that I call the Six Shop, creating documentaries and narratives and trying to do commercials as well, or branded content, even corporate stuff. You kind of have to create your own portfolio to prove to people that, like, hey, this is a thing I can do. Because even a guy like me who's been doing film for over 10 years now and about 6 years professionally, there's just no guarantee that people are going to pick up on the fact that you're a good filmmaker. Because that's kind of the unfortunate nature. You could have all the talent in the world. You could have the greatest cinematic eye on the planet, but still people just don't know you. In the case of a short film, which usually is more legwork than, say, something like a spec ad or a run and gun doc, there's now the investment portion that you have to apply with the whole worth of the whole thing. Trial 54 was made completely off crowdfunding, and also off of the backs of numerous people that were willing to come onto the project for either an extremely reduced rate or for free, because, you know, they've been really close friends with me for a while, and we're just in this eternal cycle of back scratching for each other. But there's still other stuff you got to do to be able to support this idea you want. Because as somebody who says they're a director and a writer, I wasn't really making any money off of directing and writing. I was mostly doing doc stuff, work for the Army, and some branded stuff for nonprofits and products. So to build this greater community to make it happen, I had to do shit that I didn't think I was ever gonna do again since I started picking up a camera all the way back in 2013. And I moved to Pittsburgh in 2023, and I was door dashing. I was picking up PA gigs just to build the network, to get a little bit of cash, to start meeting people and to start understanding the climate of my area. Because I had to do some really, not great stuff to do the thing I wanted to do, which was make this short film. But Davis, what the hell does doing side gigs and odd jobs have anything to do with the worth of making a short film in this time and age? Well, that's just it. You kind of have to do the things you don't want to do in order to make something like this happen. And yeah, it can get extremely freaking taxing, and that's something you really got to understand, is the mental fortitude and the resilience that's required to get to a space where you can make this short film. But that worth did really all match up, because once May 16th of last year rolled around, all the pieces finally came together and we made the thing. So we got the money, we made the thing, what now? Well, there's the interesting conversation of film festivals, which is something that I'm 50-50 on. I don't think film festivals are at all what they used to be anymore. Usually they used to be this kind of like fancy ticket item for your thing to be seen as a pro thing, or you have to get your laurels if you want to make it as a filmmaker, which, to be fair, it's like half true. Yeah, having laurels gives a bit of validity to your film and it makes for dope trailer content, but just because your film has a laurel attached to it, it doesn't mean that your filmmaking career is a guarantee, unless you get like a friggin' South by Southwest or Sundance or TIFF or Cannes. There's no guarantee that your official selection or your jury award winner is going to be the stamp you need to make that project into the bigger thing. Now, some of them are super fun and some of them have more to offer than just the laurels, but it's something to think about. Okay, so that's it with festivals. What about actually pitching the thing? Well, that's the biggest thing. You're not really going to make money off it, but the point isn't to make money off it. This short film that you've made is now the birth of an idea. And that idea can be one of two things: either the idea you set out to make, which in this case is the feature version of Trial 54, or it is the actualization of the idea that you are a friggin' film director, that all these skills that you talked about or haven't been able to apply to those smaller gigs are finally visible to people. There's proof in the pudding. Can I directly correlate new work I've gotten to Trial 54? I don't know. I just know that there's teasers and behind the scenes content that I posted. I have decent views on Trial related 54 stuff on the YouTube channel. So all I can say is that people have an idea of what it is, an idea of what I can do, but no one has ever said, hey, I watched Trial 54 and I want you to make this movie. If anything, it's been ammo for me to pitch to people, to create new ideas, or to get some DP or directing gigs, but none of it has a direct correlation. Some of these jobs I'm sure I could have gotten with or without Trial, to be honest. And honestly, if I just wanted to build up my portfolio to get more work, I didn't have to make a narrative short film. I could have made something with half a crew for half or less than half the cost and just made something really quick and easy to watch, something that I could get out to the public instantly. Because that's another thing with these short films. Not only are you spending the money to make the thing, you're spending the money to market and do all these things with the film, but if you want to do festivals and you want to do it quote unquote proper, it's going to be at least a year until people see the thing. And that sucks. I make movies because I want people to watch them. I want them to engage with it. I want them to ask questions. I want them to think about, what did this story and this character do for me as a human? That's hard to do when it's locked behind premiere rights and exclusivity with all these festivals and what you're trying to make and blah, blah, blah. So after a year, am I anywhere closer to making Trial a feature? Sort of. I've had people interested. I've had people at festivals say, I would 100% watch a movie version of this. I've had my nods of approval, and maybe like a very small handful of people that would entertain the idea of, let's pitch this to studios and independent studios, or people that were involved with the film that want to help chase down that dream. But it's not like I've received any money contracts or angel investors yet for the thing at all. Granted, that could be just my lack of marketing for the thing or just not being ready, but yeah. Have I made big steps forward? No, just the idea of steps forwards exists. Look, here's the deal, guys. And I really need to kind of batten down the hatches with this one with you, because making something like this, especially if it's like your baby, the mental and physical taxation you're gonna pay, you gotta be ready for it. I can count at least twice that I had pretty good anxiety attacks and had to go find a little corner and go, get back to normal. I can count multiple times through the process of trying to get this thing actually done where I wasn't sure if it was as pro as I thought it would be. Hell, when I saw this thing at the biggest festival that it played at, and I watched it amidst these Oscar-nominated films, I felt like the tiniest little human being on the planet. Because here's my little rinky-dink sci-fi that's playing against literally the movie that won Best Film. And here I am, wondering if I even belong in this industry, in this market, and that how does a little tiny speck like me stand near these giants of narrative filmmaking? But then I remembered, our quote-unquote little $5,000 science fiction short film is playing in the same lineups as something by George R.R. Martin, by the people who won the Oscar for Best Short Film, by people who are on the Academy shortlist, by people who are shown internationally, and with films that I think were incredible. And that's the real truth here. My worth wasn't in the comparability of the size to someone else's fame, or the fact that I didn't have my film offices or angel investors or potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to make a film. It's the fact that the quality was seen, and it could be in a lineup with those films. Which brings me to that light at the end of the tunnel I promised I was going to get to. Because here's the deal, guys. The truth behind the worth and the value of making a short film is you taking a chance on yourself. That is something we as creatives, artists, filmmakers just don't put enough value on. That we are able to use ourselves and the things that we create as the chip we put on the betting table. And at the core of this project and the story you're trying to actualize into something that's tangible is you, the beating heart of this thing. And there's a reason you care about it. There's a reason that you find value in the creation of this thing. And yeah, you might not make a single dollar off the thing. You may never see profit. You might not get a single festival selection. And you might only get a couple hundred views on YouTube when you finally show the thing, a couple pats on the back, and maybe a few thumbs up that says you did it. But if you ever stop to think that if you don't take a chance on yourself, then why should anyone else? I have lived off of one quote that writer-director Seth Worley said a while back, and that is, don't wait for the cavalry, be the cavalry. Do not wait for someone to come knocking on your email saying, hey, you got what it takes, let's make your dreams come true. Nobody was gonna come to make Trial 54 for me. Not a single person was gonna hand me $1. No one was gonna start the crowdfunding campaign until I said, hey everybody, I'm making a short film, who wants to be a part of the ride? And it took time and effort and love and stress to get all these people on board for it, to get people on the same page, to lock in the actors, to find people that cared about it as much as I do. And eventually, it did blossom into something bigger because I wanted to be the cavalry. And people wanted to be a part of that energy. So they surrounded me with nothing but love and support and almost the same passion that I had for this project. And that was witnessed from every single human being that was on this project. And all these people came and surrounded me with their skills, their talents, their love, because they saw the chance I was taking on myself. They saw in my eyes and my words and my expressiveness that I care about this thing so much. I see where it can go. And I don't want to be in a world where this thing doesn't become something. There are no roads that will open. There are no opportunities that will birth from nothing. And yeah, that sounds like a no shit kind of thing that some guy on YouTube's telling you right now. But honestly, think about how many times you had that idea and you didn't pull the trigger on it because of the time or the stress that it will involve, the money concerns, the fact that you might have to do some crap you don't want to do or adventure into a skill set you don't really care for. Ask yourself that and then reevaluate how you feel about those things and say, am I ready to make this thing? Because the truth of the matter is that the biggest worth and value that's going to come out of your short film is that it is you taking your dream into your own hands. Yes, I have spent the last few minutes telling you that not much has come out of Trial 54, but the truth is not much has come out of it yet. People are excited for it because I'm excited for it. People want to see more of it. There's a community around it. There's a future for it. It may not be right now, and it may not be in the form of a big old thank you check for making the short, but that value may come maybe a year from now. Somebody finally reading that script and says, this thing needs to be seen by the world. Be your biggest fan, be your biggest supporter, and then be relentless. And maybe a year or two after that moment where you accept the fact that this is a money pit, that it's gonna be stressful, it's gonna drive you nuts, and there's no promise of a future for it, you might be surprised. And next thing you know, you're making that thing you've always wanted to do. So to answer the question, do I think it is worth making a short film in the year 2025? Abso-friggin-lutely. Thanks for chilling with me. Thanks for, hearing me ramble and kind of go on and on, but sometimes it's important just to talk. And sometimes it's even more important to talk about these harsh realities to find out how we can turn them into steps forward. Oh, they haven't seen you in a little bit, girl. You're getting big. Oh, you're getting so big. She is. I am nothing without this animal. You want to look at the camera, baby? Oh, look at you with the lighting. You are so cute. Yes, I am that kind of dog dad. This has been Days with the Sick Shop. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you later.